Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Age-Friendly North Jersey Alliance meeting. We are really happy today to have a topic on police partnerships. Um, we ask more and more of our police departments all the time, and there are some really creative strategies and techniques and programs that are helping them connect with older adults, help meet their needs, and connect them, build partnerships in the community. So I want to welcome you all here today. If you would put in the chat where you're from, and especially the police officers, what town you're from, so we can see later and follow up with you. We're going to start with Generations for Garfield, and then we'll have some questions and then move on to what West Orange Police Department is doing. After that, or during the question period, I would really welcome the input, questions, suggestions, comments from other towns, especially our other police officers who are here today. So we want this to be informal. It's a very friendly group. We welcome opinions and suggestions, and we really want this to be a sharing session so we learn from each other. And I'm going to turn it over to Julia Stumbos right now. So
Hi, everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kathy. Yes, it's really nice to see everybody. It's been a little while since we had a meeting together. And this is a great opportunity for us to hear from our partners in the police forces of different towns. I'm mostly familiar with our Garfield friends and the work that they've been doing to really connect with and engage with community members and help build trusting relationships. And you'll hear a little bit more about the details of that, but we're really glad that we could be together to learn about this. And this peer learning opportunity is really something we hope you can take back to your own communities and share with your police forces and try to start new connections and new partnerships if those haven't already begun. So welcome to all of you. We really, from the Henry and Marilyn Taub Foundation, and I'm also speaking on behalf of Rini from the Grata Fund, we appreciate your great work in the community, and we're always excited to hear about it and share with others. So thank you.
Okay, so we do have a lot to cover. Let's just get right into it with our team from Garfield. We have Shannon Lyons, Sergeant Jeff Stewart, and Darlene Revelle. Actually, I never know if I say your name right, Darlene. Is it Revelle or
Revelle? That's correct, yes.
All right, got it. So I want to welcome you. They were one of the original age-friendly communities up in Bergen County. So you've been at this 7 years now? You guys have some experience.
Yeah, like 7+ years, yeah.
Okay, so I turn it over to you, Shannon.
Okay, I am going to share my screen, and we do have some slides. Jeff and I are going to kind of alternate sharing slides and information with you. So I will just do a super quick intro before I turn it over to Jeff. And Kathy is right. It was actually like 2015 that Darlene first in Garfield, she was the public health nurse there, first looked into applying for grant funding to become an age-friendly community or start an age-friendly initiative in Garfield. And I had been working with her through our academic partnership at NYU, and it sort of evolved from there. And you'll hear, I don't want to give away the punchline too soon. We have lots of cool information to share about starting partnerships and our partnerships as they've evolved. So I'm a research scientist by training and still work in academia part-time. And then I'm so happy to work on our Generations for Garfield leadership grant going into year 2 now, which is very exciting. And yeah, we'll share a little bit more information about ourselves and our partnerships as we go along. But that is a little bit about my background, and I will turn it over to Jeff. Sergeant Stewart.
How's everybody today? I'm glad to be here, especially glad to have some other brothers and sisters in blue on the Zoom. It's so important that we get together and learn from each other as we move forward into new directions and strive to be a little bit better each day. I try to get 2% better each day, and that works out best for everybody. I'm 24 years on the Garfield Police Force, currently a sergeant and commander of our Community Affairs Division, also a nationally recognized subject matter expert in community engagement, community policing. When a topic comes up, age-friendly, a lot of people scratch their head, law enforcement and public service alike, what is age friendly? And that's because it's something that's not formally taught. We're taught in the police academy as young officers to treat everybody with respect and equality, and to be the best versions of ourselves and represent our communities in a positive fashion. But we never really dive deep into age friendliness. And this isn't something I realized until about 2007, when I began my professional interaction relationship with our public health nurse, Darlene Ravel, who's on the Zoom as well today. We all know that, during your Vegas moment, I call it your 2 a.m. Vegas moment, where there is nobody else to call. There's not a family member. There's not a spouse. There's not a friend to call, and they resort to calling us as the police. We're their last stop. And I tend to feel that, it's something where we need to have the answer. We can't not have the answer. I know when each of you had to call the police, or if the police were needed for your husband, wife, son, daughter, grandmother, grandfather, etc., you want the best cop. You don't want the average cop, or a cop that's okay, or maybe perhaps a cop who's having a bad day. That's just unacceptable. And being we're often the first on scene, and even if it's not an emergent call, we're often called upon to answer various questions. I feel that we kind of need to know how to best serve all populations, especially our older adult community. Eventually we're all going to get there one day. Bear with me. This is 6 hours worth of information that we're going to try to jam into a 20-minute Zoom session. So we're going to try to make this as informative as possible, so everybody gets something from it. And if anybody wants to follow up with anybody from our team, myself, Shannon, or Darlene, anytime we're available 24/7. Give us a call, reach out, we'll leave our contact. We're here to help everybody grow. And in turn, you guys are all going to help us grow into better community servants and community champions. Next slide, Shannon. Age friendliness. We're faced with many challenges, social isolation, food insecurities, different illnesses, dementia. We need to seek to understand each other a little bit better. And that could be a big task at hand, especially from a law enforcement community, or from any community resource faction, whether an age-friendly coalition, a drug coalition, a community activist, a school district. There's a lot of information on the table, and the only way that we could truly move forward is really through something that we've coined as collaborative policing. And collaborative policing, in a nutshell, is unlikely partnerships. So if you do the next slide, Shannon. Unlikely partnerships. What is that? Typically, a prevention coalition will work with like kinds, other prevention coalitions. An older adult community, a senior center, an AARP group, something like that would operate in that silo. Police departments operate with police departments. They operate in that police community. They don't often talk to the firefighters. And that's an ongoing joke in our profession. Who's the better bunch, the cops or the firefighters? Mm-hmm. That leads us to the unlikely partnerships. Like, have we ever heard of a cop working with an AARP group in a local McDonald's? And if you go to the next slide, a research scientist or a public health nurse. Mm-hmm. Years ago, that really made no sense. But when you branch out and learn and work with others, you'll be surprised of what you could accomplish with positive outcomes. Everybody wants to be on a winning team. So if you walk into a room and say, hey, let's talk about age friendliness, I guarantee you, from all ages, you'll get, 50 blank stares. But as your group starts to work together and as you learn from each other and go out and do these different events and different things, your team gets bigger. And it's really not somebody like me or anybody else. It's the team. It's the passion to serve a little bit better. It's the passion to understand each other. And, there's a lot of pictures here. We've worked with celebrities. We have Miles Austin over there. We've worked with prevention coalitions. We've really learned a lot and been able to branch out, in turn, serving others through the concepts of age friendliness. Next slide. These are some of our other events that we've done. We had a pop-up wellness center. Excuse me, I'm looking at the screen because I have two screens going up. Our AV is not the best here. I'm trying to make do, so I apologize. We did a pop-up wellness center where we offered different resources and had all different community members come down and help us with that. And at that pop-up wellness center, if you go to the next slide, we learned through collecting data and doing different interviews that we really had a disconnect from a policing perspective, and then also from a perspective of different community organizations, that, older adult communities have a huge sense of pride. They were taught, handle it yourself, get it done. So they're typically not asking anybody for help until they're really at rock bottom on, as I said earlier, that Vegas moment where they're calling you in total desperation. So we found the need for food. We found the need for veterans benefits, navigating the healthcare system. And there's been a lot of talk in the media lately about alternate responses and police responding with clinicians and police responding with doctors and non-uniform police and different variations. But what we found in Garfield is we just needed somebody who's a human being with a little bit of social work background to be sort of a liaison. So we call it a resource liaison. So we have hired through grant funding, multiple grants, is resource liaison position, where when you get into these situations of navigating certain community events or navigating different resource networks such as SNAP, utility bill assistance, the PSE&G LIHEAP, and different things like that, this person would interact with not only older adults, but everybody in our community to just basically be the, non-intimidating friend to connect some dots along the way. And that was something we only realized through that partnership, that collaborative policing, that collaborative community model, engaging that way. Because I didn't know that was an issue. Shannon didn't know that was an issue until we actually collected that data and we were boots on the ground in the community at that event. If you go to the next slide. We also started up a Boilermaker brew for special needs kids. And we had them at a local coffee roaster in town, pick their beans, roast their beans. We work with TD Bank for financial literacy, to work on starting a small business. And along that way, we realized that, there's a huge interest from our older adult community. And at that point, this one program that was initially geared with the police and then partnered with the school district is now partnering with older adults, working together in a multi-generational endeavor with this Boilermaker brew. So we've had pop-ups at our parks, we've had pop-ups in our school. They're often at our Y during our Silver Sneakers events, interacting with older adults, sharing experiences, working with each other. And in turn, you know, that's helping stimulate community, it's stimulating growth, it's fighting social isolation. So everybody wins. It's just that whole working together. It's really a simple model. Shannon?
All right. So I'm gonna talk a little bit more specifically about some of our community partners. So Jeff highlighted sort of our evolution working with, you know, it's been our core team, which Kathy Viola, who was the GPC leader and is now at the Garfield Y, and Jeff and Darlene and I were really, you know, kind of the core team for Generations for Garfield. But we were certainly not working alone. We had, you know, this list of community partners. And I know a lot of you on the call have probably seen this slide a million times, but I say it every time. It's one of our favorites. It really highlights and reminds us of the great work we've done in Garfield and the surrounding community. But it was really due to these connections we made with what Jeff said, you know, kind of unlikely partners in the beginning, but we would sit in a room together and, you know, kind of network our way, trying to figure out how we could best get our work done in Garfield, either, you know, grant related work or a concern that came up that we needed to address in the community, or how can we do that together. So we have worked with every single one of these partners, not all at the same time, obviously, but on various projects, whether it was bringing food to the community during COVID, or doing, you know, substance misuse outreach and education, the Boys and Girls Club, a community garden, and I'll tell you actually a little bit about our initial partnership, which is an academic partnership with NYU, the public library, the community food bank. So it's really, this is to just kind of summarize in one slide the work, I mean, really since probably 2005, when Darlene got her first community-based grant in the public health department. We've been building on those connections and partnerships since then. And this is a slide specific to our NYU Garfield partnership. So we call that an academic partnership. But that's not really the reason I wanted to share it. I just think this evolution of partnerships is a great way to describe how you can get work done, so to speak, in a community. So usually partnerships are established for some sort of initial need or a project or an idea. So you make that connection with one or multiple partners at a time if you're going to build a committee or a coalition to work on something, or you're just going to work with one other partner to get a need addressed in your community. You make that connection. Typically that fosters some kind of relationship, and you build on those successes. So you've worked, I mean, a great example is, as I said, this actually is our town hall meeting in Garfield many years ago, talking about the chromium spill and cleanup and the survey that we did in the Garfield community. We had been working on that probably for 2 years plus. And then Darlene was going to apply for the planning grant for the Age Friendly initiative. And she said, "You're in the community. Would you want to work on this survey with us?" So we built on those past successes. We, you know, that was a new opportunity. We said, yes, that would be great. We would love to keep working with you. We'd love to stay in the community. And the rest is history, so to speak. And once you build that relationship, you know, you can look at the outcomes, and that's what you bring back to your community. What have you what kind of work have you done? What can you show them? How did you work together? You can do that in a town hall meeting. You can have workshops. I mean, we've published papers together, which is, you know, not something everyone's going to do, but that's just one example of the outcomes you can bring to the community. So this is a great, you know, a great sequence of events, I think, for building partnerships in your community. Can be applied to many different types of partners and relationships. And all of this being said, we know this work cannot be done without funding. A lot of times, you know, there might be existing funding, or there might be, as our case in Garfield, people that are municipal employees, but, you know, they typically can only add so much to their daily workload. And so if you get additional funding, then you're able to bring in additional partners and resources and work together that way and sort of spread the wealth. So these are just some examples of the type of funding we've had in Garfield in the past, through Generations for Garfield. Some of it, I don't know if we really listed here specifically funding that Jeff has gotten through the police department, but we could actually add a few more line items here for funding that's gone into community affairs. But this is our funding as a coalition. We've had AARP grant, we have the Henry and Marilyn Tao Foundation, the Russ Berry Foundation. I mentioned GPC, the Garfield Prevention Coalition. So they've been a part of our core team for the last several years. And we also had a Northern New Jersey Community Foundation grant. So these are just some ideas of places where you could get additional funding to do work together and build partnerships and coalitions in your community. And I am going to actually let Jeff sort of take it from there and finish the last couple of slides. And then if you have any questions, we can address those for a few minutes.
So realizing the importance of this topic, Shannon, myself, Darlene have traveled across the U.S. We've had the blessing to speak at ICP, which is International Association of Chiefs of Police, in 2022 in Dallas, Texas, in 2023 in San Diego. Internationally, we've worked with police officers from Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, and Belgium. So, you know, it's been something that we've been passionate about, just spreading the word, talking to other people. I urge all of you to do that, to talk about the different issues at hand, to ask questions, how we could get better, how we could serve better, how we could work together more efficiently. It's just a process. And Shannon, if you put the next slide and take it, you know, Shannon and I ask you, you know, where's your collaboration? All of you have it.
All right, Kat. I don't know if I can't see you, Kathy.
And I don't know if we want to do any questions. I can't see
Yeah.
the chat on my end. So if anybody has any questions through the chat, please let me know.
If I stop
So,
sharing, we'll be able to see each other a little bit better. There we go.
we don't have questions in the chat, but if anybody would like to have, if you have a question now, if you want to raise it, go ahead. We'll start with Julia. I was gonna say, raise your hand, and Julia's up there front and center.
Oh, you're muted, Julia.
Julia.
Sorry. If anybody else had something they wanted to ask, please do go ahead. But I just wanted to note something that I paid attention to throughout the slides, especially in the pictures. You can see that there's like really good energy among the people that you bring together in Garfield. And I just wondered if you might speak to that, sort of how you got there, how you got to the point where you hold an event and people come, people are excited to come, people are energetic about engaging with you. And I know that it had to have taken time to build to that point, but I think it's encouraging for other communities to hear that, because it's something that makes your programs more likely to be successful, right?
So enthusiasm is contagious, and success is seeing the people. So I consider it kind of like Field of Dreams. Anybody who saw that movie? If you build it, they will come. And if you start something that is really making a difference and making an impact, your team gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Everybody wants to play for the Yankees or the Mets, unless there's some other baseball fans here. But once you build that group, it just keeps on going. And offline, we were speaking with Dorothy and Kathy about the importance of branding. And that's super important. Write your press releases, go on social media, have an Instagram, you know, have Facebook, have an email chain. Give yourself the flowers. Your team worked hard to get where you are. You guys are all doing amazing work. Tell people about it, because that just makes things bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's how you make real change. You make real change from within, from each of you.
I wanted to mention, Jeff and Shan too, that I saw Ann logged in too, Ann McDonald. She's another one of our partners and core team members who was the creator of the Mayor's Wellness Campaign way back when, like in 2003. And that's when I first moved from critical care nursing into public health. And I really had to learn, it's two completely different. You're a nurse, but it's two separate disciplines completely, two different jobs. And I had to learn the public health job, and I had great mentors. So mentorship is so important. And then like when Shannon showed you the slide about making connections, connecting with the right people and those people that have the enthusiasm that Jeff spoke about, knowing and learning. So know who you can learn from, who has knowledge to share. And Anne was a great mentor to me. She came and she worked in Garfield when she saw there was an interest. One of our first grants was our Safe Routes to School grant. That's how we connected with the police department because we needed the road shut down to do our event. And as you can imagine, those police officers that are on, that was no easy thing to accomplish, was to go to the police chief and say, listen, we need the road shut down, main road, to have a walking, biking program. But, if you make those connections and you can show people the benefit and how the whole community benefits and you get people to work together, it builds. So we've just been adding partners. And Shannon told you about how we connected with NYU over our Terrible Superfund site. And when we had wonderful academic partners like Shannon and her boss, Dr. Judith Zelikoff, who was willing to come into Garfield and teach us about, how to keep our residents safe and healthy. And like, you just learn to, who you like to work with. It's really great when you like the people that you're working with. So if you came to our coalition and you were like adopted in, and we made it fun and they made it enjoyable, and we learned together and we reached out to the community. And I think it made my job as a public health nurse much easier to accomplish what I needed to do. So, especially when you're working with just a small team, everybody's down, especially in government work, everybody's down to a skeleton crew. So if you can reach out to outside partners and get people to join together, and nobody wanted to be the superstar. Everybody wanted, the team to have the recognition. It wasn't about an individual, So I think if that's all my 2 cents. But thanks, Anne, for joining too. And I wanted to mention how Mayor's Wellness taught us so much and really started the whole thing. And of course,
No, thanks for everything all of you do.
I want to put out a question. I'll give you guys time to think about it while our folks from West Orange talk. But you're talking about partnership, and I'm wondering what other resources the age-friendly leaders and communities can advocate for that you need to keep this up or to expand. So if you want to, if it's an easy answer, you want to do now, if you want to think about it while the West Orange police officers talk, but what can we do for our police departments to help them do that? What do we need to ask for? What do we need? What resources?
So that's an easy one. You need to ask for funding. If you have no funding, you can't complete the mission. And then you need buy-in. You need buy-in from your mayor, council, and city manager. You need buy-in from your police chief and administration. You have some of the greatest leaders in the world, and if their bosses aren't supporting that mission or their cause, or their government is not supporting their mission or that cause, you're dead in the water. So you really need that cooperation from within, and you need to have everybody on the same page.
Okay. Emily, you have a question?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Emily Greenfield. I'm a professor at the School of Social Work at Rutgers, and have been a partner on age-friendly communities, including the wonderful work of Generations for Garfield. And I'm so pleased that an officer from my local police department where I live is also here. And I just wanted to take the opportunity, and this is something for the West Orange group, maybe they'll address in their time, but we've learned through our research with many of you have been involved that doing collaborative events together is a good way to build early partnerships between community groups and municipal departments or other organizations. And so do you have any ideas or examples of the successful type of events where you've had like a local police officer come speak as like a workshop, like an educational program, an engagement event that would draw an audience of older residents that really speaks to the strengths of the police department in their community affairs capacity and helping to keep people aging safe and well in their homes?
Do you want us to answer that right now?
So if you're, yeah, if you're,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I didn't know who the question was for. My name is Karen Mango. Obviously, I'm with the West Orange Police Department. Well, for the first time, we actually did a senior citizen safety academy. We normally do the junior police academy, which is a mirror of the senior citizen academy. It's pretty much a mirror of the junior police academy. So what we did is we talked about DWI, you know, how to write summonses. We also spoke about fraud, the phone calls, the emails, the text messaging, the knocking on the door, the mail, you know. We gave them examples. We actually did like a little example thing. We wrote a paragraph, and based on that, we did police reports, and we said if it was fraud or whatever it was. We actually had the helicopter come in and from the state police and actually speak to the senior pictures. They saw the inside of the helicopter. They asked questions regarding when the helicopter is being used, how is it being used. We had K9 for Morris County come in, and he actually explained, you know, like how long it took for his dog to actually be an officer, what he was in charge of, his rank and everything. And he actually also explained regarding, you know, like the lifespan of the dog, what happens after several, you know, a couple years, what does he do with the dog, what type of a assignment, you know, pretty much the dog has with him. We also did motorcycles. We did mental health. And this is something we're actually doing this week coming up for suicide prevention and awareness. We brought mental health, the medication to adapt, you know, how to get rid of the medication. Don't use the medication. Am I on? Hold on one second.
Could you still hear us?
Yeah, how about, I'm gonna pull up this screen, your photos here. So let me, all right, is that showing?
It's buffering.
Okay. You see, how about we, you want me to just tell me when to go forward? So
Yes. Okay.
I put them kind of in a slideshow. I don't know if it's the order you
No problem.
Just tell me when to forward.
Okay, so pretty much, like I said, we normally have a junior police academy, which we give out shirts and, you know, like the hats, the water bottles and everything. So I figure that it would be a good thing for the senior citizens to actually have those shirts. We actually, with the help of senior services, we were able to get the patches and iron them into the shirts. We gave them that so that it's a police academy, right? And they were explained every single thing. Like every day we had different things to talk about. This one was more or less a demonstration, you know, what the motorcycle is used for, you know, pretty much the traffic officer came in and showed them the motorcycle, you know, well, we use it for funeral details. We use it for patrolling,
Speed and details as well.
And they took pictures with it. So next.
Sec. How do I forward? There we go.
Okay, yeah, the pictures that they took. That was a demonstration. Same thing with the that was the senior picnic. Again, with Ms. Van Dyke from Senior Services. They usually do this picnic every year. Okay, that's National Senior Citizen Day. We actually made games for them to, you know, have fun and you know, talk amongst each other, not worry about anything and just come out and have fun. You know, they played. We took pictures with them.
It seems like a lot of this is, you know, by making the events more recreational, it's a way to talk and connect to people without the stress and scariness of why they might really need to call the police.
Exactly.
It's a
So
safe, friendly space.
So yeah, pretty much more or less what we're trying to do is actually have the community, you know, be closer to the community along with the with the people from around the area, you know, the citizens, the senior
Yeah.
citizens, the elder community. We're trying to have them have a more relaxed time with the police officers. Like with Ms. Van Dyke, we've done, I know there's a lot of pictures that I sent you, but we actually did sip and paint, badges and brushes, I'm sorry, badges and brushes. So we had a police officer that is a painter, she paints, an artist, and she actually walked through with the seniors on how to paint. To them, it was relaxing. We played music, you know, relaxing music. And we also had a lady that actually said that she needed this to, you know, just to relax because her husband's ill. And this is a way to relax and speak to other, you know, members of our community along with the police officers. So, you know, that we did that. We also did the senior prom. The senior prom, it was involving the whole community, which they did great. The community actually donated food. They donated gift cards. They donated the venue. So pretty much we just celebrated like a senior citizen prom. We did it holiday style. So again, although all that was funded by the community, and Ms. Van Dyke donated some money too. And they had a good time. We had the DJ, which is another officer, you know, from the police department, and community service unit was there, and we just mingled with the members of the community. You know, we speak to them a lot too. I mean, they have a lot of senior citizen buildings in the area.
I see, somebody put in the chat, they want you where you said that you got some funding from Division of Senior Services in the community, but where do you hold these events?
Oh, well, it was at the VFW. They donated the time, actually. They donated the venue for that day. It was, I think it was 3 hours or 4 hours.
4 hours.
4 hours. They donated that. So pretty much the whole the whole senior citizen senior prom was donated by the businesses in town.
Okay.
So food was donated, the gifts were donated, pretty much everything was donated.
Wow.
Yeah.
Even the special.
I tell you, West Orange, you're killing it. It's amazing work. You see, you're doing it.
Thank you. We actually
amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We also had, like, you know, new businesses that are opening. It's good for everybody. They get to know the community. My seniors get their pictures taken. And we all have a good time. And they actually donated pictures. We had a backdrop with.
We had a photographer.
We had a photographer. We had a
Donate
photo
this time.
booth. We actually had a lady that I met on a call, and she does party decoration. She actually decorated the whole place. You know, for just being a member of the community. She said, I want to do this, please let me do it. They decorated, you know, it was amazing. I don't know if you have any pictures there from the prom.
I don't think I have the pictures of the prom. Sorry.
I think I sent like 169 of those pictures, actually.
I will send them in the follow-up email. But I think one of the things you point out when we talk about partnerships, if you know, a good partner to have is the local business who can donate the food, the prizes, other things that engage with older adults, but also, you know, all municipal budgets are very limited.
Yeah.
So that kind of donation and those business partnerships, I think, are really important to pursue and foster.
Correct. Yes. And I mean, I think at the end of the day, the seniors are the ones that, you know, they actually appreciate all this at the end of the day. You know, I mean, they're very appreciative, and this is a minute just for them so we can pay attention to them and just focus on them. And it's good because we also give them information. I mean, a lot of the times we get a lot of calls from seniors that are getting, you know, scammed all the time on the phone, on this, you know, and they feel very important when you actually explain it to them. And we say, listen, if it's not happening to you, at least you could explain it to someone else, you know, and they're very excited about that. They're very excited that we take them into consideration, that we explain to them things, you know. I mean, they love to read, which is great.
So any more questions for West Orange or Garfield?
Can I say something? I'm Brad Swires, West Orange Police.
Sure.
I'm supervisor of the community service unit. We have myself, Karen Mango, Herbie Granados, and Brett Wagner on the call right now. I'm off the clock, so it's there's no video. I'm just in the car right now, waiting to go home. Real quick, we've engaged with seniors in the past where it's just been senior seminars, safety talks, food distributions. We've had a touch on the seniors over the years, and it was more or less when they called us to come to one of their events to talk. I have to say, Karen's been in our unit since January. Let me back up a little bit. We also started a program with Blue Angel program, which was for the lock boxes for seniors. It's just basically a realtor box that goes on the door, where in case of an emergency, we have the number in our CAD system, so we're able to get in the house just in case of an emergency. And we're the only ones that know that number to get in the house. We also have our co-response program that we can say that we were actually the first in the state to have a co-response program. And one of the things with the co-response program is that we've seen a spike in senior calls, where with dementia and Alzheimer's. So this is just another way that our department's outreaching and assisting the older adult community. So in January, Karen actually joined our unit, and what I have to commend her, because what she has done for the seniors in our township, I always say to the younger guys, hey, listen, if you're at a baseball game, get out of the car, stand in the center field, show your face. Karen has gone above and beyond. And she's made our department basically have put a label on it that we're here for the seniors. We've always been there, but now it's different. The relationships that we have built, that Karen has built, okay? The seniors know our first names in the last couple of months from the Senior Police Academy, from the prom. It's like there are our grandmothers and grandfathers now, because we're there to help them. We're there to assist them. Karen has done the badges, brushes and badges, the senior prom, which was I can't tell you. I wish there was more pictures there, because the senior prom was crazy. She did a wonderful job. We assisted, but this was her party. I could see her retiring soon and being a party planner. I definitely see that. But the venue itself was awesome. And we had seniors coming up to us, asking us to dance. I think Officer Wagner was dancing with a few. But B, the one that hit home for me is the lady lived next door to the venue, and she said, I have lived in this town for 7 years. This is actually the first time I've gotten out to an event, and it feels so good. It was wonderful over here. So I really have to commend Karen, Herbie, and Brett on the job they have done, because it's been a great 9 months with her in the unit. And I'm looking forward to see what else she has up her sleeve, because I know Halloween's around the corner.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you,
And thank
Sergeant. Appreciate
Time
it.
when you're off duty.
I'm not that good at answering questions. It was like, a lot, but you know what if you saw pictures, I wouldn't have to explain much.
Julia, you have a question?
Yes, I missed something that Officer Squires was talking about with a co-response. Is that what he called it?
Yeah, we have a mental health co-respond program.
Okay. If
Yep.
you could tell us a little bit more about that and how it interacts with people with dementia or Alzheimer's. You said you've had an increase in calls, so tell us a little bit more about that.
So the co-response, it's a BJA grant that we received. We have co-responders on staff from 7 in the morning to 11 at night. That's what it's labeled, but there's been some turnover, and sometimes they're not there. But when we get a call for a mental health call, any mental health, a co-responder will go with it. And we've seen an increase with, and maybe we're just kind of blind to it because we weren't so involved with the co-response before, but the number of Alzheimer's patients, dementia patients, that the co-responders will now assist their families with outreach, point them in the right direction. How can we assist? We also have, Karen, help me out here. The program we run for
Me Home program.
Yeah, Take Me Home program. So Take Me Home programs, basically, we collect the information from a relative, and a picture, and we have it in our CAD computer. So if we come across this person that's a walkway, we know where they live. But as far as the co-response program, the outreach and everything for the dementia and Alzheimer's patients, it's been really successful so far.
So
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna put out a question to all the police officers, even the ones in other towns. And when we talk about the dementia and Alzheimer's, there seem to be a lot of similarities with the responses you can do to the same approach you would use for children with autism. And I know in Maplewood, where I am, they used the program they had for children with autism. I think you call it the CAD. Is it the CAD system?
Yes.
But putting in the information and the approaches, so someone's picture what they like, triggers to avoid, topics that are safe. And they found that, it worked for both to safely approach someone and there's someone who's gone wandering or was lost to help bring them home. Did any of
Yeah.
you like do similar things with autistic children or other people with disabilities that can be used for older adults?
Absolutely, and that's part of our grant too. Is that our mental health association provides training for all of our officers. So once a month, we'll get a video, 20-minute to 30-minute video of how to handle somebody with autism, how to handle a person, how to speak to somebody with dementia. What's the key words, what not to say. If they're walking away, what we can do to like assist them to get them come back and not trigger anybody so they don't want how do I put this? Trigger anybody so they don't see any negative aspect.
Right. Officer Stanislaw from, I don't know what town you're from, but Emily had pointed you out before. I'm going to put you on this spot and ask, what town are you from? And are you currently doing anything in particular with older adults? Do you have questions for the group?
Hi, I'm in Glen Rock, in Bergen County. So don't mind the radio in the background. I'm kind of doing two things at the same time here. Our community, we have a like a senior community at One Glen Court, which is like this not assisted living, but they have like a group home, and they have activities and we know a lot of the residents there. We also have a CAD system in which if there are people that have certain disabilities or places that we've been to before, our notes can tell us exactly what we would be responding to ahead of time, and it helps us and helps them. As far as social issues that I think is not really spoken about as much, it certainly rears its head once in a while, is the loneliness epidemic. We see that more and more, and it's understated, and but it's slowly and surely getting more traction. And it's actually an initiative that I'm going to start working with Bergen County Community Chest to try to tie the loneliness epidemic from senior citizens to seniors in high school, because they have different reasons why loneliness is happening in their life. And I'm also a social worker, so a lot of things that I do is I try to tie communities together that don't typically get put together. I'm also running the Juvenile Officers Association for Bergen County. So I have platforms that will allow me to bring these communities and systems together. Because years ago, they weren't this way. It was the police do law enforcement, social services does social services, and we once in a while will do a handoff. Now we're direct links, and oftentimes social services don't have the robust needs or resources that they have, and it gets kind of shouldered onto the police. So as other officers have mentioned today, we oftentimes are doing a lot of what is considered social work, and sometimes it's even clinical work in order to get people into better positions. But as of right now, and the one thing that I was going to be working on, and I think this is probably most important, is putting it into a form that could be shared by others. And I also work in film, and I can create these little short films so that once they're created, they don't just get shared in Glen Rock or the county, but it can go to the state, the nation. Some of my work have actually has been seen overseas, and it helps because this is where people are, right? This is, if you want to reach the community, These forums are great, workshops are great, but at the end of the day, if you can give them 3 or 4 minutes on a phone, that's really what they'll go for. So that's kind of the work that I've in the space that I've now been put in. So
Thank you.
You guys brought out the best of the best today. I was just in a meeting with Matt a little while ago. He kills it in Glen Rock, somebody I look up to. I find out today West Orange has got this lockdown and then some. I mean, this is so empowering that so many officers are doing amazing things. You know, we need to get more on board. Talk to your communities, talk to your police chiefs.
Our chief is actually quite progressive when it comes to social services, and our officers in general, especially our newest generation, they're trained to see when there are social issues that are in need. So it's not just like, okay, the minute our job is over, it's done. No, they know to call social services in certain situations. Let's say somebody who is living with autism and the parents are both deceased. Clearly, the system didn't know this until the parent died. So now that the person doesn't have like a support network, that aging population who is supposed to be caring for somebody who is an adult, but the system didn't know this person had a need, would need care. So that's where the police kind of come into play. Also, let's say there's 2 seniors, one passes on, and the other one was the one being cared for. Again, oftentimes the police are the only link or the only contact that would tell social services, hey, this person needs care or some type of assistance. So, but it is working and it is happening, and our newest officers are trained in it to not just like the minute the call's over, if we're done, you write the report. It's to make those connections with our social services.
Go ahead, Shannon. I see you with your hand up.
I do. So kind of a detailed question, but are they, obviously you're a police officer and you work as a police officer, we have a program in Garfield with grant funding that Jeff mentioned earlier, and we're tracking the data on referrals to our social services. Like we have a liaison, and so do they call you as a resource, or like, because you're a social worker? So
well, I'm a police officer who happens to also be a licensed social worker. Our Glen Rock is somewhat privileged in that regard. I'm one of the only officers actually in the U.S. that's
I've never heard of that before, ever.
I think there's maybe 3 or 4 of us in the nation. But you don't really necessarily have to be licensed to do this work. And that's what I really try to encourage officers and even members of the community to know, like making these small connections with people does matter, does make a big difference. The one program that I'm actually going to be working on over the next year, it's called Just Checking In. And it's a quick little film. And I love when phrases are three words because it's easy to remember. It's like a bumper sticker. And there's going to be like a couple of scenarios where people could have just checked in and they didn't, and something that bad happened. And then, or somebody did check in and something that was bad going to happen that didn't. And it could be your mailman. It could be the next door neighbor playing ball. They're just noticing mails piling up in the mailbox. A package wasn't picked up. They just noticed something. And they made it just a quick little And that one call was just enough to make sure that somebody, remained off the margins. So, and again, once that's done, it could be shared to the other communities, and these things do work. And when you put it on our social media platforms, it reaches broader audiences.
That's really important, I think, to reach the broader audiences. So people are aware of it for future situations, or they can tell someone else about it.
Right. Many of these stories are evergreen. It's not like, okay, that's a trend. No, this trend of aging, our aging populations having more need is certainly not just at our doorstep. It's coming and it's here, and it's likely going to stay for quite some time. And the loneliness epidemic has kind of been rolled into that. But it's not spoken about as much, but we see it definitely when we go on certain calls, like, man, this person should not be living alone, or this person's been alone for 20 years and this the past few years, it's really this person clearly needs help. So breaking down some of those barriers is like the next thing to try to do. And of course, people have pride. So even if they do need help, they don't want it. That's another tough one. But the first step is certainly talking about it and making it aware so that everybody doesn't feel like their own little island and that nobody knows but me. You know, it's like, no, we're all seemingly on these islands. Now we just have to connect these dots. So that's kind of what the work is.
Darlene, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm so excited. This has been so fantastic to hear from Glen Rock and West Orange, because I think even short time ago, people didn't understand what we were even trying to say of how essential the partnership with the police are. And I mean, all my career I have as, as an emergency room nurse, I'm actually married to a retired police officer from the NYPD. So we always knew that there's a bond and that we do the same work. It's all human, we're all human beings trying to serve the community. So it's exciting to hear what you've done, and you've made it very transparent on how the benefit of working and partnering with the police department, because not everybody gets that, and how we can improve the relationship with the police for all communities. So congratulations to both of your towns. It's amazing. And I hope we can get together, all of us, and grow that.
Yeah. I think we're going to be putting together a meeting with you all and other police departments so we can explore this more. I have one final question in the chat for all of you to ask if, are you seeing that people are more aware of fraud and scams than they used to be? Because I know a lot of you have done work on that to warn older adults about potential scams. Do you think it's making a difference? Are they more aware?
I could say that, yes, they're more aware, but they do fall to be victims sometimes because the scammers always are up to something new. So whether it's the IRS call or a call saying you're going to be under arrest, they're always coming up with something new. And we do still get reports of scams, but we try to put it out there as much as possible. But in this world, it's never going to go away.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions or comments from our police staff? All right, then I will let you all go. We did record this. We're going to send it out to everybody for the recording, and I'll also send you Shannon's slides. Karen, thank you so much for the photos. I'm sorry I couldn't download all of them.
Oh,
And, and we'll look forward to the whatever you're doing for Halloween.
oh yeah, we're actually doing we're doing a mental health day. We're gonna have psychiatrists, counselors, MHA come in, meditation, all different types of things to help people relax.
Wow.
I'm already in costume.
Oh, you know what? I was gonna call you too, but I couldn't find your last name.
Take it up.
Thank you,
Okay.
everybody,
Thank
for
you so
joining us
much.
today. Thank you for all the work you're doing, and we really look forward to hearing about more of your progress and these programs you have in place. And again, if especially for like Glen Rock is now joining the Age Friendly Community Network, please reach out to the Age Friendly leaders. If you need introductions, reach out to me so that you can partner and work together, because the work is so important and there's such an overlap, and we need to do it together. But thank you so much. I'll see everybody
Thank you so much.
Very much. Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Take care.